Hi there, this is Michael Becker. And in this Tinderbox lesson, we're going to talk about how to export your notes that you've been taking in an application called Drafts and get them into Tinderbox. And Drafts is an absolutely fantastic application for iOS and Mac OS devices. It allows you to take your notes on the go. It's got tons and tons of capability, and I absolutely love it. So I highly encourage you to use it. Let's go ahead and show you how all of that works. So I'm going to go ahead and switch over my screen now. You'll see I've got my Tinderbox file open, and I'm now pulling in drafts. So here is my drafts note that I've written, and I can put some text, and here is some more text, so I can add some text in there. I can add or delete keywords to a draft note, and then when I'm ready to send this note over to Tinderbox, all I need to do is click on it and it sends it right over. And the way the Apple script's been written, not by me, by members of the community, if the inbox does not exist in your Tinderbox file, Drafts will create it for you. If the inbox does already exist, you can go ahead and say, see, here is another note. And I'll go ahead and go like that, add some more text. You'll see now I can say, and here's the other note that we've just done. And you'll notice that when it comes over, Drafts is actually giving you the time of date that the note was created and modified, any tags that you included with that note, as well as a URL that will actually take you right back to that note. So if I want to go to this one, you can see it click here. It'll take me right back to the note. So it's a really fantastic integration between these two wonderful note-taking tools and capabilities. So let me now show you how this works. So the way it works is and again, one other thing to focus on too is it's going to send it to whatever the Tinderbox file is that's on the top. So like, for example, I've created this file here. This one's now on top. If I go ahead, you'll see that it's now going to create that app there. So that's how that works. Now let me show how to set it up. It's actually pretty darn easy. So in your drafts file, all you need to do is you go to Actions, and you go to Manage Actions, and then in Manage Actions, since you'll be starting from scratch, you'll want to create a group. I'll call this group, Export to TBX. And spell it right. So I've created a group called Export to TBX, and now I'm going to create an action in the Export to TBX. And so we're going to add an action, and I'm going to name it Export to TBX. And what I'm going to do, remember I gave a nod earlier to the fact that this has been created not by me, but by some really great people into the Tinderbox community. And so you'll see there's this really, really great forum post here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this and say see TBX forum post for history, so that all of the members of the community can be tagged, be aware of what's going on with that. And then we can also add in the drafts notation on how to do AppleScript. See this for info on drafts AppleScript. All right, so I've captured a couple of things just to remind me how I got and found this code for later. Now, when you're setting up your drafts note, there's two things you need to set up in drafts. You first need to set up a clipboard. And so what this is going to do is it's going to let paste the content that you're exporting into your clipboard. And all you need to do is select clipboard from add steps and hit plus. The next thing you need to do is you scroll down to the bottom and you hit run AppleScript, and you add that step to the process, and you hit plus, and then you double click on the run AppleScript. Now what you're going to do is you're going to copy and paste from this Tinderbox file, and I'll go ahead and put it here right now. Put it here for you right now. This would be Apple. Spell it right. AppleScript or drafts file. Okay, and we'll go ahead and paste that in. So there's the AppleScript for the drafts file, and we're going to paste it here as well. Okay, and so we pasted that in. We close this, and we close the actions, and now we go back to our drafts, and you'll see that we've now a newly minted action here in our Tinderbox file, and we can say, let's test out our new note. This is great. Okay, and let's give it a tag. Let's say, I don't know, Tinderbox. And Okay, so we've added some tags, and now we're going to test our new note, our new action. So I'm going to go ahead and hit export to drafts, and voila, it's automatically exported and sent to the note. So this is pretty darn exciting and cool. Now let me show you some other modifications that you can do within this process. So let's say I want to go here, and I now want to manage my actions, and I'm going to go to my export actions here. I'm going to click these actions, and drafts just closed on me. Sorry, got drafts, so let's go ahead and open up drafts again. All right, and we go to actions, we go to manage actions, we go here, and we go here, and now if we're looking at the action code here in the drafts app, and it's kind of hard to see in the small screen, so let me see if I can blow it up in this application over here. View. Let's see. All right, well, I can't really make it any bigger right now. Or actually, what we can do is we can look at it here in our Tinderbox file. That might be better. All right, so here is our action script in the drafts app, and you'll see what essentially the action script is saying is some notes that we've created. And then it's saying when you open up and execute the drafts app, I want you to set these parameters from drafts to these variables. So basically set the title of the draft to the title variable, etc., etc. And then if you scroll down here, what we're telling is tell Tinderbox to tell the app, the action script to open Tinderbox 9. If you're using Tinderbox 8, you're just going to change that to an 8. And you'll see that just got changed to a smart quote, so that's a problem. So what I'm going to now go do here is I'm going to turn off smart quotes for this note and uncheck that, and we go back and get 3 quotes there. So we're going to say Tinderbox 9. Then you'll go down and you'll see, now what else are we doing to do? We're saying tell the front document, that's the first document in the Tinderbox file, to place it. And then we're saying if not exists note inbox, then make the note with the properties name inbox. So we're essentially saying make a note named inbox, which is pretty darn cool. And then if it already exists, it will simply put it in the note inbox. Now, then what we're going to do here is we're going to say set the variable to attribute clean body, and you're going through the process. Now, what's exciting about this is we can actually modify this a little bit. So for example, personally, I don't use the attribute reference URL. I prefer the attribute URL. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to modify this code. Okay, so I'm modifying it for here in the TBX file. But if I go to the drafts app, whoops, I'm showing you my calendar right now. If I go to the drafts app and I open up this file, you can see here I can go ahead and change this to URL, change that to URL. Now watch what happens by me modifying that. Now if I go back to drafts, I'm going to move this out of the way, clean up our workspace here a little bit, and I go to drafts and I select this new note, and I'm going to export out this new note now. So let's type export so we find it. So there's our export to Tinderbox. I hit enter, and there is our new note. And you'll now see, instead of it being reference URL, I'm now sending that parameter to URL. So that's a really nice thing. So again, for me, I don't tend to use the term tags. I tend to use the term term. So you can change that. The other thing you can do too is, let me go up here and I'm going to say file, prototype, and you can add in your prototypes. And so I'm going to go ahead and create a different prototype called P note, and I'm going to give P note different terms like term and created and modified URL. So I'm basically setting up my own, and I use terms as I said before, so I'm setting up my own prototype that I like to use. So now let's go back to drafts and modify it, and this time I'm going to say my prototype I want to assign is P note, and instead of using tags I want to use term. So let's go ahead and change that and close this, and now go back to the note, and now we're going to say let's create a new note. Here is a new note to demonstrate our changes. And we'll give it a Tinderbox just for fun. And we'll hit export. Okay. And so we're going to get here's a new note to demonstrate our changes. Now we didn't have any additional text outside this, so this is the other interesting thing. The way this particular Apple script was written is it's basically saying grab the first line of the draft note and make it the title of the note. So if I wanted to have a second line, here is the second line. All right, and then I resend that note. You'll see the new draft note that got sent over. It stripped out that first line, the white space, and stuck it in. Now, it's interesting. Now, this particular note, I've noticed while I was playing around with that, is this is a test. So, because of the way this Apple script is running, if there is only one line in the note, and I try to export, what I found is it will sometimes give me an error. So it says export to Tinderbox, and I've got an error. It's not working. Well, why is it not working? Well, it's not working because this Apple script is looking to parse this first line, and then it's looking for a second line or something after it. Second line. Right? So now if I export, it's going to work just fine. So that is the something to be aware of. So when you run into those kind of errors, that's an example of where you might have that error. Now I have a separate Apple script that I've played with that doesn't run into that issue, because the second Apple script leaves that first line. So I'll drop that into the file as well, and you can compare and contrast both. You'll set that one up in the exact same way that we just showed you. So this is a really great way to kind of engage and interact with your notes. And by the way, too, if you recall, remember when I changed the note and I said make it to P note? Looks like you'll see here that all of my newly created notes are actually being assigned P note. And so if I want to go then and say change the color of P note, let's hit Command 1. And we'll go here and we'll show you. I'm going to change the color of P note just for fun. We'll make it bright red. No, that's the interior. Sorry. Let's make color of P note bright green. There we go. So color of P note's bright green. So now let's go ahead and create a new note. One more just to finish it off. Here you go. And we'll send that over. And okay, and again, remember that error. I got to have another line here. There you go. And because I'm having the drafts note take on the prototype P note, it's taking on all the affordances that Tinderbox gives notes. Also, don't forget, if you recall earlier in the video, I mentioned that I took my notes in Markdown. So you'll see I've got headers here, I've got bullets, I have a URL.